Greetings and welcome, everybody. This is the final day of our 7 days of dump cakes from the Kathy Mitchell book, Quick and Easy Dump Cakes and More. So because this is our last one, you probably will, if you paid attention enough, you'll know we only did 6 polls. We did not do a 7th poll for this day. The reason being, by the time I did all the polls, we had winners for each one, and I did the corresponding ones. In this time period, after these 6 days, one of those polls had a cake that was not winning, but did come back to win fairly decent margin too, and that's the first poll. The first poll, I had the strawberry cherry or the cherry vanilla cake had won. But after that, several people put in votes, and even though it was a very narrow margin that the cherry vanilla won by, it actually trailed, and currently does trail, to the strawberry marshmallow cake, which was actually the one that I was most interested in at the time, but I was fine with the other one because it was a simple one. But we are not doing that injustice, because since y'all decided that y'all wanted this, albeit late, we are going to do it today. And this is going to be our final one that we are doing. Remember, we are not doing any sort of weigh-ins for this. This is not a week-on sort of thing. I've done this over a period of 7 days in the course of like 2 or 3 months. So that way we could get one done, start making another. So what are the ingredients for this very interesting and very involved strawberry marshmallow cake? Well, you'll see here about all the different things that they have. This is actually one that's really fascinating because it will require a vanilla cake mix. Now it wants, of course, we do everything with the gluten-free products. I found one of these when we were traveling not too long ago. And it always wants things about 15 ounces, so this is a bit much. So we're not going to do all of it. And this is interesting because it also wants ingredients to prepare mix, because on the back of this is preparation instructions on how you're supposed to do it. And there's all the different ingredients. So because we're doing about 2/3 of it, we are going to do about 2/3 of the ingredients. And you just do some simple math and figure out the numbers on that. 3 eggs, 2/3 of 3 eggs is just 2. So we're going to have eggs and oil that are in conjunction with that, as well as water, which of course we'll measure that out when it comes. Other ingredients include fresh strawberries. These strawberries have already been prepared, so I don't have to do any preparation work this time, which was a good idea to do that. Some of the leftover marshmallows we had from our earlier dump cakes. We have semi-sweet chocolate chips from a really good brand of chocolate, Ghirardelli, and then of course gelatin. And the gelatin is not exactly the right size, but 3 versus 4 shouldn't make that big of a deal. And that's going to be everything we need. Also, of course, as per the usual, we will be having our 9-inch square pan, which I'm sure we're going to do the same thing we always do with that. And before we do that, the very first thing that we're going to have to do is actually prepare this with these ingredients before then we get into working everything else. Everything else will be good. Of course, we'll also have to utilize this with it too. I just thought about that. So we'll do that. We'll prep the oven, and we're going to spray the baking pan as well. Okay, as per phase 1, I have my 2 eggs cracked in the whisking pan here, bowl. We've got our 15 ounces of cake mix, 14 to 15, thereabouts. And that is in there. And then we have our oil and water, and we are going to mix that and see how this all combines. We do that for about 2 minutes, so it'll be a few minutes from now, and we'll see how that comes out. All right, that is whisked pretty good, looks like. So I'm going to put that aside. And now this is where we start taking some of the liberties from the instruction book. That means it's time to turn on our oven for 350. And we are going to use our cooking spray to grease up our there we go, our pan. And that will conclude the first step. Now we're going to add to this, for our specific mix, the 1/3 of a cup of the semi-sweet chocolate chips and stir that in. Like so. Now we're going to take the 2 cups of strawberries, put them in this pan here. Make sure they're spread out nice and evenly so we can make sure there's no big gaps around here. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now we're going to take our gelatin mix, strawberry gelatin that is, and we're going to sprinkle it over the strawberries. And sounds like our oven's ready. Alright. Now we take our 1/4 of a cup of water and just, as it says, drizzle over the top. Pretty good. Alright. This is our first 2 cups of the marshmallows we're going to spread on there. That looked like that was kind of stuck together. We'll don't really want that. And then another 1/2 cup. We'll add to that. And then we'll be done as soon as we get the batter on. And now we're going to take this batter and we're going to try to spread it evenly over this entire thing. It's kind of hard for me to do that one-handed, but we'll just show what the result looks like as soon as I get it. All right, that looks pretty good there. I know this looks like there's a very uneven distribution of the chocolate chips, but I think a lot of the ones on this side, because I did have a lot more than these, I think they just kind of sunk in a lot more than these did here. So that's probably what the difference is. Now, we're going to take this, we're going to pop it in the oven for about 40 to 45 minutes, and then let it cool. We'll see what it looks like. Once it's done. All right, we have pulled it out. When it was at its very end, before it had cooled down, it had puffed up real nice, but of course after it's cooled down, it's kind of flattened itself out a little bit. So it looks a little wrinkly, but you know, looks pretty good otherwise. So we'll take piece of this. It feels really thick. Come on. There we go. Bring it over. And some better light. It's really nice. And then we'll get to see how this is. Alright, let's get a good little piece here. Turned out pretty nice. Good consistency, nothing feels off about it. All in all, I think it was a pretty good success. And we will come back with the conclusion of the 7 days of dump cakes. And that's all she wrote for the 7 days of dump cakes. All in all, I enjoyed all the dump cakes for the most part. Had a few issues with a few of them, but some that I think, based on either the modifications or making modifications to the recipe, would probably change that and help do better. What did you think of the different dump cake situation?
I enjoyed pretty much every one of them. There was one that I didn't enjoy that much, but other than that, they were pretty good.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of go through the dump cakes a little bit. So on day one, I fixed the cherry vanilla dump cake. That one was my least favorite of all the dump cakes that I did. It's actually the only one that, if given the opportunity, I would not do again. Not because it was in particularly bad tasting. It was very plain compared to some of the others. And I wasn't a huge fan of the batter that I used for that one, because that was the one that tasted like almonds. It looked weird. Now, you could say that maybe if I used a different one like I had for the other days, maybe it might have been better. But even then, I still don't think that cake was one that's really worth my time fixing again.
Oh, that was my least favorite.
Okay. So we agree on that.
Mm-hmm. It had a weird taste to it, which I was not a fan of personally. I think I had one slice of that one, and that was it.
And then coming in at number 6 for me would have been surprisingly, the chocolatey cherry dump cake, because it was the one with Dr. Pepper in it. However, it was very moist, wet, to which that's just not a very good consistency for what should have been a regular cake. Maybe I could have dried the cherries. It might have worked better. Maybe cooking it slightly longer. I don't know. I would like to try it again, but even then, flavor-wise, the cherries were kind of weird in it with the chocolatey flavor. So, all in all, not that great to me either.
The cherries were very low quality. I found little bits of cherry pit and cherry stem in mine when I had it. It was really moist, which texture-wise left a lot to be desired. And I mean, other than that, it was fine, but I definitely think it should be given another try sometime with better ingredients.
I don't know that you can do it with better ingredients.
Well, different brand of cherries.
Because there's not many brands of cherries that are available here that are water, because that was specific to the instructions. I could try it in syrup like I did with another one that I did, which is higher up on the list. But coming in at number 5 would be the berry cobbler, which I did on day 3. This one would be higher. The berries in and of themselves were very good. However, the batter, and I feel like this may just be the adapting it to the gluten-friendly batter, was not enough water in it. So maybe if I modified that, it would be less sticky. It was incredibly sticky, which made it impossible to spread. And so you had these parts where there was almost none of the mixture, and then there was parts where there was way too much. So it was very uneven.
I thought it was okay. That was definitely a mid tier one to me. It was just okay. I enjoyed the few slices I had, and that was it.
Yeah, again, it would have been a lot better if it was just if the mixture would have just worked better, because the berries, I think, were actually a very good combination. Coming in at number 4, then for me, then is the one that I just did, which was the Strawberry Marshmallow Cake. This last one here turned out good, tasted good. I didn't get enough of the marshmallow flavor out of it, to be honest, given what I had, but so maybe I would have liked that a little bit more. But overall, good cake.
It looked a little weird. It had, I didn't taste a lot of the marshmallow, but despite that, overall, it was my favorite one. I ate almost the whole thing.
Okay, I thought something else was going to be your favorite.
Which one?
It's actually number 3 is actually the one I thought you were probably going to say was number 1, which is the pink lemonade cake. That one also turned out very well, and obviously was made with pink lemonade, which was really nice. Can't complain about that one. It was actually turned out very good, and Gale went crazy over it, so I kind of thought that was going to be your number 1.
I retract my earlier statement. That is my number 1. You're right. I did go crazy. I ate almost, I think, the entire thing of that. Yeah, I ate a lot of that one.
And that was one of those redemption cakes. That was a day 6 one. So there you go. Now, number 2 to me is one that both of these had their issues in preparation, but they turned out great in terms of taste quality. Number 2 to me was the skillet from day 5. The s'mores in a skillet. Yeah, it made a mess, partly because the skillet was a little small, I guess, for the amount, because it just overflowed. But when it was done, it was great. It had cooked perfectly in terms of everything. I think the only complaint I would have is I would probably, when I cook it again, I would add fewer almonds, because the recipe just called for too many almonds, or pecans, actually, is what I think it was. It was just too many of those, and I think if you just had a little bit lighter amount, it would be better.
That one was actually lower on my list, which is weird because I love pecans, but I felt the pecans did not work at all in it. I don't know why. It's just something about those pecans just made it just ruin the whole thing for me.
Yeah, I thought they were fine. I just think there were too many of them. And then, of course, for me, number 1 comes from day 2, which is the rainbow cake. I did have a little issue with spreading the butter amounts on each one. It still turned out really good because there wasn't nearly that many dry spots on it. And to me, it was perfect with the flavor combination. I love the pineapple and the M&Ms on top. It was really good to me. So I enjoyed that one the most.
That one was one of my favorites. I did eat a lot of that one too, but I would say on that one, it did not reach the top of my list because, first of all, that top, the cake top with the M&Ms, fantastic. But it did not reach my top because I was not a huge fan of the severe difference between the moistness of the cake and the moistness of the pineapple. It kind of threw me off. So that there is what stopped me from liking it as much as I.
So there you have it. That's our thoughts on that. There's a lot more recipes too, and some that are not cakes that would be interesting to try to have on our own time that we might have in the future. So if you've tried any of these before and you think they're really good, worth trying out, you can comment below and let us know. I'd be interested to maybe try that in the future. So until the next month when we have our next week on, this is Trojan.
And this is Gale.
And we wish you blessings and hope you enjoy your meals. Bye-bye.
Bye.